All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
How's it going?
I like how now we're acting very serious, so we've been laughing for 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Awesome.
This is how it goes every time we record.
But we usually don't record in really loud, like leather chairs that make noise every time we move.
No, we're in a slightly different setup today. We're not in the
are.
podcast room.
No.
Just
I
chilling.
miss all the gray, though.
Yeah, this room is not gray.
No.
It's not your color.
Not my color. I don't blend in here.
Poor Catlin.
The struggles. But we have a friend here today.
We
have
do.
A guest. Well,
Yeah, we
not
have
here, but, here.
with us.
With us. No, it sounds like he's deceased.
Yeah.
With us today.
We do. Yeah, we've been really excited about having Chase on from Oak and Oscar for a pretty good while now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of friends that have an Oak and Oscar watch and just rave about them.
And we've gotten to spend the last week and a half with
I think
one.
2 weeks.
2 weeks now?
2 weeks now, yeah.
Yeah, with one. And I see why they rave about them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Chase, how are you today?
I am doing really well. How are you guys?
Great.
Yeah, can't complain. We're here. We're not quarantined, and we have homes and everything else, so we're good.
Those are very important parts, by all means.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy times right now.
They are, and we talked about it, I think, maybe a little bit on the last episode, but we just, we don't know what to do. We don't know what we're going to do. We might just start recording separately, Catlin. You're not allowed out of my house anymore.
So I've thought this through, is that if one of us is quarantined, the other inevitably is going to too. So we should just quarantine together and think of all the content, think of all the photos we could get done.
That's true.
14 days, all the watches. I'll bring my watches over. We'll just take all the photos.
All right. So Chase, for those that don't know that are listening to the show right now, can you give us just a brief, history of your brand?
Sure. Yeah. I founded Oak and Oscar back in 2015. So we are actually coming up on our 5-year anniversary in May, which is really exciting for us. It's something that, truth be told, we're not the oldest micro brand or independent small brand out there, but we're certainly up there. And it's something that we're pretty excited about, to have that history that we are currently developing. But the entire idea behind it was, truth be told, I was unhappy with my day job. Worked for a great company, great teammates, this, that, and the other, security, blah, blah, blah. But I just didn't care. I wasn't interested in it. I wasn't fulfilled by it. And I knew that my wife and we wanted to have a family, and I knew that I would have to sacrifice a little bit of that freedom in order to stay in that job. So I loved watches. I love the idea of entrepreneurialism. It's not that same story of, I was looking for a watch, I couldn't find one in my design and budget, so I made my own.
Actually, I was kind of surprised it's different.
Yeah. It's that story of I really want to do this. This could be really challenging, really fun and exciting. I've always loved watches, and putting my mark on the world of horology is something that is just a phenomenal feeling. It's something that's really cool. So launched the watch, the very first watch, the Burnham, in May of 2015. Really, really appreciated, and it was honored by the reception. It was certainly something that I wasn't sure what to expect. And then was able to do it completely full time in January of 2016. And it's just been a tremendous ride since. It's been a lot of fun. The main purpose for me is wanting to do things that I love. If I'm going to spend time away from my family, it better be doing something that I'm really passionate about. And it goes to the idea of even behind the name itself. Oak is my love of bourbon, and we all know bourbon is aged in oak barrels. And then Oscar is actually my dog's name, who is sitting here with me and who might bark a few times. If we have a package pickup or anything of that sort. And part of our profits actually go to a local dog shelter. It's something that I'm really I'm proud to be able to do that. And now with Oak and Oscar, I spend more time with my family, spend more time doing something I love, and more time with my dog, helping dogs, and of course, drinking more bourbon.
All of the important things in life.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm sitting here at my desk now, and I've got like 4 bottles of bourbon just sitting on it. And then behind me in a cabinet, there's another 12 bottles. Downstairs in the sitting area, I think we counted it once. We're up to like somewhere between 80 to 100 different bottles.
Man,
it's not what my office looks like.
No, not at all.
Definitely not.
There we go.
Aww.
He's half our security team.
Well, there you go.
He sounds like, I mean, he should be full security for sure. You should make him full time. Well, so you said that you had been in the hobby for a while. Would you consider yourself a collector before you started doing your own brand, or did you just kind of, were you familiar with watches, maybe wore a watch or two, and then just kind of decided to do your own thing?
It was the idea of, I've always wanted to really like collect watches, right? And we could work on the definition of like, what is a collector, right?
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast. It's that scenario of I've always wanted to collect watches and just be intrigued by I was always intrigued by watches, but I never let myself really, really go too crazy in like high school and college or even like right after school, because I knew that I would go down the deep end. And then finally, when I started really looking into watches and kind of buying some watches and collecting them, yeah, I obviously proved to myself that I know myself pretty well, because I definitely went down the deep end, because now I have my own watch company.
You went the extra deep end.
I went to like the extra deep end. And it's the scenario of it's, to me, ever since I was a kid, right? I had the old like freestyle dive watch with a Velcro strap, or an Iron Man or whatever it may be. And I was just so fascinated by that little thing on your wrist that tells you time. Or one of the more interesting memories that I have was my grandmother would take me to like the YMCA in the summer when I would visit her, and we'd go swimming. And I was just fascinated with the fact that this little machine with, back then, a battery, right, for me, young kid, still worked underwater. That was just, it was mind boggling to me. And it's just one of the things I've always been intrigued by it. And it's really just, it's an honor to me to be able to actually be doing this for a living now.
Yeah. What would you say was your first adult watch that you had purchased?
Ooh.
The one that really started getting you towards like the deep end, like the one that was the 5-foot side of the pool. Like you're getting close to over your head.
So, okay. Well, so that's different. Close to over the head. So I'd say one of the first like real watches that I got, my wife got this for me for a birthday. Actually, it was a Christopher Ward Trident, which I think is a GMT with a 24-hour unidirectional rotating bezel. That was one where I was like, oh wow, and it was like almost $1,000. I was like, this is amazing. Like, how cool is this? And I loved it, and it's an important piece to me by all means. But I think the watch that like really, no, you know what? It's not one singular piece. It's really just like it's the slow or sometimes fast dive into watches. I mean, it's kind of with you guys' stories as well. It's that scenario of you start getting into it and it just doesn't stop. I mean, I went through and purchased like a Tudor Black Bay, then I had a Speedy and all of these like relatively quickly. And it was that scenario of 0 to 60 just fast in like actual like me purchasing watches. And then when I, quit the day job and didn't have a steady paycheck, that stopped real quick, especially because I had to buy several hundred of them to start selling them. Money went to better causes, and it's very cool to now have my own watch.
Yeah. How did your wife feel? Like, what was that conversation like, saying, "Hey, honey, like I'm really thinking about quitting my day job and making watches"?
So, I can make a joke, right? But I have to say, honestly, I probably have the most amazing wife in the world. She is remarkably supportive. She believes in me, trusts me, and loved the idea, the strategy behind everything that I had kind of presented to her, right? It was like, hey, here are my ideas. And so, no, my wife is phenomenally supportive. And when we had these conversations, it was that scenario of she wants me to be happy because she saw that I wasn't happy in the day job. She wants me to do something that challenges me, that gets me excited and proud to put my name behind it and do something that really is fulfilling. And, our mentality was it's effectively kind of like putting money towards an MBA. You're getting real life experience, and we'll definitely be able to use that experience for something in the future if need be.
Yeah.
Because we have to be practical about it, right? Not a lot of watch companies that are new last past their first watch. And, we're now in our 5th year having produced, I think, like anywhere, 6 or 7 watches. Yeah. And it's something where she also, she's a psychologist, right? And she doesn't want me to, when I'm 70, look at her and resent the fact that she said, no, I can't do it. And so she's looking out for herself too.
Is this the secret to buying all the watches and having your spouse approve it? Is you just date a psychologist?
I don't know. Is it?
Man,
I think the bigger secret, I think the best secret is to date someone who can give you a credit card that.
This is true.
That's true.
Very true. No, I mean, with your first watch, the Burnham, how did that go about? Did you do a Kickstarter with the first model, or
no?
Did you guys do something different with that one?
I didn't do a Kickstarter, and I was very specific in that choice because I knew the price point that we're going to come in was kind of that entry-level luxury, and I have an opinion that Kickstarter and luxury don't really mix well. Mm-hmm. And to go even further than that, one of our mottos at Oak and Oscar is make no little plans. And by doing Kickstarter, you are very publicly using effectively other people's money, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. Crowdsourcing is a phenomenal thing for so many good reasons. I wanted to really put it out there to show people that, look, I'm doing this on my own. And if it fails, like that sucks for me. But you know what? Make no little plans. We're going to do it, and it's going to be awesome. And I believe in it, and I'm going to work hard to make sure it works. And I think people really saw that authentic drive and the genuine nature of who I am, the design itself, and the project. And I think people really got behind that and supported it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. The idea of entry-level luxury, because your watches are about that sort of price point. And I'm sure, especially for a micro brand, you don't see a lot of micro brands in that price point, probably for a reason. It's probably very difficult because you don't have, people can look at you and think, oh, you don't have the history to justify it. But if your quality is there, the craftsmanship is there, then you probably do have to fight so much more harder to justify that price point.
Yeah, a price point becomes a really sticky point. And you'll see it for all brands in this price point, whether it is independent micro or, a bigger brand under a larger umbrella. It's that in between of sub 1,000 and over 2,000 or 3,000. And we did have a watch that was just under 3,000. It was a column wheel flyback manual wound chronograph with a stacked register at 3 o'clock, which, was a bargain for what that movement and watch is. It's sold out now. But regardless, the point being is that the price point can be tricky, but the benefit of being in that price point is you garner the attention of folks who have a phenomenal amount of knowledge on watches. Mm-hmm. And they know that your watch is good quality because they also have anything from an FP Journe to a Patek to a vintage Rolex to whatever it may be, right? But at the same time, you have this really wonderful customer who is also kind of new in watches. And maybe they've had their $400, $500 pieces, and they see your brand and they fall in love with the story. They fall in love with everything behind it, the designs, the watches themselves. They're doing research to learn more about it. And then they see your watch as a piece that they want to aspire to, but it's within reason. We're not gouging. We're not doing anything where our margins are way smaller than I would want them to be. But the idea is that we sit in that great place where we have a phenomenal breadth of owners, where they have either $1 million collections, maybe like a small collection of really 5 pieces, 10 pieces that are just key, amazing pieces, or it's their very first like nice watch. And I love having that entire breadth of owner, of a demographic of watch nerd, watch fan, casual watch guy, girl. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can say that when I look at people that I know on Instagram and things like that have your watches, it speaks to that. Like, there are people who have tons of other much higher end pieces, and there are people who, you know, your watch is really their luxury watch that they have. And I think it's neat to have a brand that can cross so many different boundaries and be so universal for collectors.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's something that it's to me, it's a sign that we're making a piece that I should be proud of, a piece that Oak and Oscar should be proud of. We're making watches that connect with so many people on so many different levels, whether it's the technical behind it, the design behind it, the story of the brand, the people behind the brand, whatever it may be. I'm very proud of the fact that folks are really enjoying what we're doing.
Well, that's awesome. You're a U.S. based brand too, here in Chicago, close by, not too far away from us.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and then I know that you do, and I think I actually wasn't super familiar with this until recently, that you guys do appointments and tours and things like that of your facilities, correct?
Yeah, so this is something, actually an idea that I had in, frankly, just December of last year. And this might be getting into the world of, in my head, of the way that we like to run the business. Is one thing that's really important to me is having that face-to-face, having the time to sit down, have a bourbon with someone, talk to them, learn about who they are, and then let them see the watch in person. When we first launched the Burnham, I did an entire tour across mostly the East Coast, and then a couple months later, we went out to the West Coast and just hooked up with, whether it was like local watch groups, red bar groups, anything of that sort, and you know, planned events and parties around it. And it was one of those things where I learned quickly that people like to see these watches in the metal, especially as a younger company who hadn't made a name for themselves whatsoever at all. It was something that was really important. And as I see now with our HQ here in Chicago, we would get people who would email us and say, hey, I really want to come in and see a watch in person. Is that okay? And I was thinking, well, yes, of course, please. Please come in. That's great. It's a great way to spend an afternoon. And I was thinking, like, it's one of those things where if we can let people know that it exists, then it's even better, because, you know, now we have the option of people just, seriously, Oscar, come on. But anyway, so we have the opportunity to help people come and see them in the metal. And it's been great because we've had folks who are like, hey, I'm in town. I want to come out to the shop and take a look and see things, and or just on a Wednesday afternoon or a Friday morning. It's been really nice because it also helps keep us stay in front of people and not maybe travel. I shouldn't say not travel as much, but be able to have local Chicagoans, have local people who are from the area or even traveling into Chicago, to give them another opportunity to come and see the watch, come and meet us, come and kind of get a vibe for the brand, rather than wait for us to come out to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that a lot.
We also do virtual appointments as well. So
I saw that.
It's been a fun feature, actually, where we've had folks from all over the country. I think we even had a couple people outside the country in Europe who it's a great scenario if you can't get here, but say you have questions or you want to see them like just next to each other, the Olmsted or the Humboldt, see how you attach the NATO or the bracelet, or see how the bracelet works, anything. It's really nice to be able to have that face to face. It's not the same as coming and see it in person, metal on metal, but like at the same time, it is significantly better than not having any other option whatsoever.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Sure.
And Chase, I wanted to ask you, because if you go to your website, you're looking at all your watches on there, and I see a trend. I can spot a watch of yours and immediately know it's an Oak and Oscar. You have a style, and I was curious to where the inspiration for the style and the look of your pieces came from.
First of all, thank you. I really appreciate that, because that's something that is very important, that we always want to maintain a brand identity. We always want folks to be able to look at the watch and say, that's an Oak and Oscar. For example, it was a significant challenge with the Jackson, which is our first watch to not use a sandwich dial or even numbers on the dial. But folks still told me that, you could take that name off and they knew immediately it was one of ours. And that's an absolute pleasure to hear, because in the design world, that's something that's very, very hard to achieve. And we've worked hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
For us, for me, the design of our watches, our website, or whatever it may be, is frankly just out of something that my own personal tastes. Like, I know that sounds simple. I know that sounds like too easy, but it's really the idea of, we want to work within the palette that I'm comfortable in. And I have kind of the start with the Burnham, right? And so we want to make sure that our palette of watches kind of honor what folks feel is an Oak and Oscar timepiece, whether it is the orange secondhand, the really well done sandwich dials, or just the feel itself. Nothing too casual, nothing too dressy, just kind of the right mixture of the ingredients that need to go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I would definitely agree. I mean, having worn one for the last week, I would agree to that. The way it wears, it stands out totally in and of itself from anything else in my watch box or that we have,
Well, I mean, first of all, there's not a lot of people making this size. I mean, and from our perspective, it's difficult sometimes to find watches that aren't huge or incredibly small. So I think you guys nailed it right on the head there with the sizing on most of your pieces. I think they fit incredibly well on most wrists.
I appreciate that. And
I would say
the Olmsted, which is what you're referring to, is our 38 millimeter field watch. And it's funny, I brought home the prototypes for the first time a long time ago. And my wife was like, "Oh, wow, I could finally wear one of your watches." I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, the Humboldt's 40 millimeters, the Sanford was 40, the Jackson was 40. And we found with this 38 millimeter field watch, also with proportions, the height was 11.8 millimeters, I believe. It's a very, very wearable piece. And we've had a lot of people with bigger wrists, with smaller wrists, be kind of concerned about it, how it might fit. And they put it on, they realize, oh, wow, it's either not too small or not too big, right? It's kind of that perfect size. And the same thing even with our Humboldt, which the case itself is actually 39.5. The bezel is 40, so there's that little overhang so you can have a better grip on the actual bezel itself. Folks put that on, and they're like, wow, this fits really well. So much of what that is the design of the case shape. It's not just the size itself. It's also the lug-to-lug. It's how the lugs go down past the body itself. It's all of these little things that we put into our design process to make sure the watch not only looks good, but is also very wearable.
The collaboration that you guys did with Wilson.
Yeah, the Ashland, which was the collaboration piece that we did with Wilson. And it was called the Ashland because that was the original name of Wilson Manufacturing Company. And they were located on Ashland Street here in Chicago. Now, Wilson is, a global billion-dollar firm. They're headquartered here still in Chicago. And God, what a fun project that was. I mean,
how did that come about? Just
a random email through our website contact page. Huh. I was like, come on, really? Is this real? I got an email from the manager of marketing at Wilson Sporting Goods baseball glove division. I'm like, okay, sure.
You're like, yeah, I bet you are.
So, I was like curious about this. Okay. We responded. Responded and we started a brief conversation. We decided we'd all get together for a lunch. It went well. They were legit. We had a great conversation. They took us to their office, which was, fantastically done. It's designed by Gensler here in Chicago as well. And it was a beautiful, beautiful office. And we just started chatting about how we could make a watch together. And I'm sitting here, this was, I guess maybe 2 years ago. I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, like this is amazing. This billion-dollar company is talking to me about making a watch. This is nuts. And, I left that meeting. I got back to the office and I was just thinking to myself, cool, we could make a watch and we could just put a W on it, but that's boring. That's not going with the idea of making little plans. I really sat there and started thinking about baseball. Like, what can you time in baseball? What is important in baseball? Balls, strikes, all that is important, right? Of course. We can't afford to try and reinvent a chronograph where you could, count the number of balls and strikes. Fun. Don't steal my idea.
I was going to say, we're going to start working on this right now.
Yeah, we can't afford that, right? But then I was thinking, and it was kind of a fun exercise. Like, we have this bezel that is on the Humboldt, which is 120 clicks. And I was wondering to myself, like, could that be repurposed? That's a technology we currently have. Could we repurpose that? And I remember calling or emailing or WhatsApping or something our production team in Switzerland, and I said to him, I was like, I've got a crazy idea. You track baseball games not by time, but by innings. Is there any way that we could change the bezel, which effectively meant the entire case, right, with the way the construction is, and create a watch where we can actually track the top and bottom of innings, where you only need depends on how you wanted to do it, whether you wanted to have like a set, like a zero zone, which is what we did, anywhere from 18 to 20 clicks. And they're like, give us a day. And they're like, yeah, we could do this. And it was one of those things where I'm like, it just clicked. It was like, it's never been done before. It's using an existing system just to recast different information. And we created the baseball bezel.
That's awesome.
That was a really cool touch, by the way.
It was.
Thank you.
As like looking at the watch aesthetically, it's a really neat watch, and I think it was a cool collaboration. And I love that they just randomly reached out to you. I think I'm sure I know, like, when anybody reaches out to us, we're texting each other like, oh my God, but I mean, I'm sure that was absolutely insane seeing that sort of email and being able to do that. But yeah, I think that was so cool. It was and it wasn't overly in your face either, which again just kind of speaks to the way your watches are designed.
I so appreciate you saying that, because that's one of the key components for us.
I think I had to read about that, actually. I didn't.
Yeah, and that's perfect.
Obvious.
Like, we wanted someone to be able to see the watch from afar and think it was just like, oh, that's a normal bezel, whatever. But then when you got it, when you look at it, when you touch it, when you feel it, when somebody talks to you about it, you realize, oh shit, that's a one-of-the-kind kind of thing. No one's ever done that before. And it was a clever use, in my opinion, of an existing technology in a whole new way. And it was fun to present that to Wilson, because they're like, whoa, okay. The head of the division was a little bit of a watch guy, and we talked about how, like, Pan Am and the Rolex GMT started from a collaboration, and now granted, this is a far more niche world, baseball, right? It's not going to have that same kind of trajectory. Although if it does, I'm cool with that. It was just one of those things where it made the watch that much more special for baseball fans, for folks who love Wilson, for folks who love Oak and Oscar. It was a whole nother reason to buy it. Like, for Wilson fans, it's the idea of like, oh man, that's a Wilson product, I want it. For baseball fans, it's, oh, that's a baseball specific product, I want it. For Oak and Oscar fans, and also just timepieces in general, it's like, oh, that's a unique watch that's never been made before. That doesn't happen a whole lot. I want it.
Yeah,
and it was really fun.
I love it.
It really was. And then also me growing up playing baseball, to get my own baseball glove made by Wilson with my logo on it.
Yeah.
Custom for me. Like, talk to me about that. That's awesome.
It's a dream right there.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something I'm real proud of. My dad is a huge baseball fan, so being able to give him a baseball glove with our logo on it it's one of those like proud moments, right?
Yes.
And I've got a couple gloves for my boys when they're older. They're not allowed to use them, though. Don't get them dirty.
Right. These have to basically just stay put away forever on a frame somewhere on a shelf.
And I don't know if you know this, because I didn't know this, but there's a whole world of baseball glove collecting, just like watches.
Nothing surprises me anymore, because there's a
right?
world of people who collect watches. So, anytime anybody looks at me like I'm weird, I just pull up other people, other things that people collect, and I'm not that bad.
The Oak and Oscar Wilson collaboration baseball glove is actually pretty valuable, because we only made, I can't remember the exact number. We made 130 watches, but we didn't make the same number of gloves. Wilson actually knows the exact number. I don't.
Because it was optional, right? People
correct.
Could buy
so we
the
made
glove. Okay.
we made less than 100 gloves. I do know that for sure. And the only way to get the glove is by having the watch. So it's actually one of the more rare Wilson baseball gloves out there.
Wow. Man.
Which is a crazy thing. Who knew that existed, right? But there's people who have hundreds of baseball gloves, and they trade them, they buy them, they sell them. It's a crazy thing, right? But how do we say that, right? As being watch lovers.
Yeah, exactly. We're all just crazy together. It's fine.
It's a human nature thing, right?
No, that's super cool. I would have never thought about it, but I mean, yeah, the fact that there's so few of them definitely would make them quite collectible. That's super cool.
And so another collaboration that you guys do, and I know me and Caitlin talked about this on our show quite a while ago, was the one tail at a time.
Yeah.
The donations that you guys do. And how did that come about? You're obviously a dog person.
Yeah, I my first word was my dog's name back when I was however old I was. It was Jesse, if you wanted to know. I promise you did not say it quite as clear as that when I was a kid. But it's dogs have always been important to me. I also had another dog that was just so patient with me. It would let me just like crawl up on it and they've always been important to me. I've got a family member out on the East Coast who actually helped found and run a dog shelter out there. And it's something where if I have the ability to help give back to dogs, to people, right? Because dogs are also so therapeutic for people as well. Like, it's one of those things where they just, who knows how they do it? They just smile at you and wag their tail and they make you feel better. It's a nice thing, and it's in one tail at a time. They do a great job spreading a good message, using resources appropriately. They're making a difference, and it's something that I'm actually really proud to be able to help them do that. And it's something that's really important to me. And even if we do some other charities, even if we do something that might mix with a certain type of watch better, this, that, and the other, that one tail at a time and helping dogs is always going to be there as well.
That's really cool.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's not enough brands that do that give back, and we could probably name not even a handful of them, but we really love that a lot.
It's fun. I mean, truthfully, it's fun. Like, it's one of the few times a year I enjoy writing a check.
Yeah.
I bet.
I would too. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, most definitely. Do you have any plans to do any more, any future collaborations because the Wilson's one was so successful?
So the answer is likely. It was a really fun project, and it was something where we got to work with a phenomenal team of creative professional people, and being able to bring that energy into a product that frankly like elevated what we could even do, right? We would not have thought to ourselves, how do we make a baseball watch, until they presented us the opportunity. That alone was a significantly fun challenge. So yes, doing some sort of collaboration with another brand would be a fantastic opportunity and something that we have our eyes out and ears on the ground for. If you know of anyone, let me know. I have a lot of great ideas if a bourbon company wanted to do something.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that makes sense. We do have a few ideas that are on the table that are in the works that I actually can't give you any more info on.
Yeah, well, very cool.
No, that would be a bourbon company would definitely make sense for you guys, for sure.
I agree. So let's get some.
all the samples and all the tastings that clearly would have to be done. I mean, you have to really, really know that bourbon much better before you can design a watch after it.
I have to know the bourbon. All of our owners have to know the bourbon. Like, everyone who has an Okanagan watch needs to know the bourbon. We actually do a annual owners dinner. And we do an annual owners weekend here in Chicago once a year, typically in the fall. Last one that we did, we actually on Friday night we went and did a barrel pick with Few, is a local distiller here. They do whiskeys, they do gin, rye, stuff like that. And I know the founder Paul, and he opened up his like super secret warehouse of just barrels. Funny thing, it's like totally nondescript. It's in the middle of what looks like a failed shopping center. You would never know what this thing is, but when you go in there, it is just racks and racks and racks and racks of bourbon barrels.
Wow.
It was great. We took a trolley from the HQ here in Chicago, went up to his distillery. There was about 25, 30 of us, sampled 3 different barrels, and then together as a group, we picked one barrel and we bottled it up and put a logo, put a label on it that actually had the Oak and Oscar logo on it. So we actually have an owner's only barrel select.
Oh, dang. That's really cool.
So that was a tremendous amount of fun. But, going to that, we definitely do a lot of really fun owners only events, because the next night after that, we had about 60 people at the HQ. We had a mixologist, a jazz band, barbecue. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the big areas, and I've said this a lot of times on the podcast, that like microbrands really nail it. It's the way that you interact with people, not just on social media, but in person. Like, I know obviously right now a lot of people are not doing a lot of traveling, but for in a regular world, you guys travel, you see people face to face, you invite people to come to you face to face, and doing events like this, this is where microbrands nail it and they kill it in this industry. Is really the way that they treat their clients, and the fact that you call them members. I mean, it just makes it seem like just one big cool kid club, like the
it's one of the best. It's one of the best parts of the job. Our owners actually have access to pretty much every watch we release before the public. Mm-hmm. We actually had to curtail the Ashland purchasing so that we would have some left for the public.
Wow.
And that's not a bad thing, right? That's a good thing.
Right.
But it's something that's tremendously important to me, because these were the guys and girls who were there from the very beginning. A lot of our owners have been there for almost every watch we make. And it's something that is special. And it's one of the best parts of our jobs, is to be able to have this amazing connection with people who really find value in what we do. I've got people who come up to me and tell me about their watches they wore for their wedding, or got for the birth of their kid, or whatever the story may be. Or just, I loved the design, or I loved your story. And that helps me want to fulfill my dreams of doing X, Y, Z, whatever it may be. I mean, honestly, I can't tell you how much of a positive effect that has on me as a person, but then also on me as the founder of the brand. It's that push to keep going. And to your point about being able to get in front of people face to face, handshakes and all of that, we have a little bit of a struggle with that right now because of the current situation. And that's one thing where I'm really lucky and fortunate to have already created and devised this video system where we're actually able to turn our physical appointments into these video chats and still be able to meet with people, still be able to interact with them in a very personal way, whether they're local down the street or in London, in Germany, California, wherever it may be. And that's something that is a tremendously wonderful way to interact with our potential owners.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's definitely, it was great timing. I mean, all things considered, for you guys to really roll that out and push that so much right now. Because the reality is, I don't see big brands getting hurt with the current situation. I mean, it sucks, but big brands will move on. But, the sad reality is I think that it's the micro brands who are affected most. And of course we had Wind Up Watch Fair, which just canceled, which is where, a lot of the micro brands would really debut. But yeah, I mean, in hindsight, this was phenomenal timing for you to have rolled out your virtual tour program.
Yeah, it's an interesting place in the market right now. Your point about the Wind Up. It's a place where we meet a lot of new people, shake a lot of hands, whether they're people we've been friends with for years, owners of current timepieces, or new owners. It's definitely it was definitely a sorry day to see that get canceled. But at the same time, as the brand, we don't want to put our employees at risk. We don't want to put other people at risk as, a greater whole of society. It was a tough decision, I'm sure, from Blake and the rest of the team there. And I get why they made it, and I fully support it. It's a different challenge in this scenario for micro brands. To your point about bigger brands, they've got a lot of capital investment. They're going to be okay. Hopefully, right? I do mean that, like, hopefully. With smaller independent brands like Oak and Oscar and other micro brands out there, there is that world of what's this going to do to people's bottom lines? Are they going to sit back? Are they going to have to make any significant cuts? Will they need to change their strategies? It's an interesting question, and we don't know yet what's going to happen over the next month, 2 months, 3 months. It may be a short blip. Let's hope it is for everyone, both in the world of business, finance, but then also in medical reasons. By all means, like, let's hope this is over and done with quick. But there is that scenario of we don't know, and we have to kind of think about that.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. Yeah. Well, I guess taking it away from doom and gloom and the world is ending. So 5 years, is there, obviously you're probably not going to get into too much detail about it, but is there anything specifically in the works to celebrate 5 years?
Specifically to celebrate 5 years, not really, to be very honest.
Okay.
We were going to, and I say we were going to, I think the idea is we'll still do it. Hopefully it'll be allowed. But we're going to do a couple dinners here and there with our owners, whether it's in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, all the above. It's kind of was in the works. The idea is to, we don't want to make any huge big blowout, because we don't want to just celebrate for the sake of celebrating. We want to continue to push out the message that we're here to stay, we're here to be around for a long time, and we're just continuously making awesome pieces. And we hope that we earn the next 5 years with everyone as well. I think we'll make mention by all means about the 5-year anniversary. We'll certainly let Oscar go around and shout it out his top of his lungs. No, we're not offering any sort of like 5-year product or 5-year watch anniversary. Maybe that'll come at 10 years, 20 years, something of that sort. I think at 5 years, it's one of those, for me, maybe a little bit more of that internal celebration that this is amazing. We've made amazing relationships, and to, possibly help celebrate those relationships with the folks who have been there from day one or even day 800 and whatever, and it's one of the lucky things that we have. It's such a great core group of owners, and it's something that I'd like to help celebrate with them.
No, I think that's awesome. I think it's a different way of looking at things, especially when, you have a lot of brands who are so quick to celebrate every anniversary that they possibly can with new watches. So, yeah, I think that's a really neat idea, and just to appreciate the people who got you there versus, just using it as an excuse to put out a new watch.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have such a great following of folks who are fans and folks who are owners, and it's something that we've earned through the years, and every positive relationship is something that I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, people who are fans of yours are really fans of yours. Mm-hmm. There's no like
the hardcore.
Yeah, there's no like, oh yeah, that's a cool watch. It's people are like really, really fans of yours. Like when I've noticed as we've posted pictures, of the Olmsted, you have a lot of fans who are just passionate about not just the watch, about the brand. And in speaking to you, I can definitely see why. What would you say, 5 years, what would you say is one of your best memories since you took this leap and started your own watch brand?
Oh, man. I have to say, honestly, luckily, they're all right. Well, he's just on something today. Gosh, we've done so many phenomenal things, and I've been fortunate enough to have a ton of really great memories with Oak and Oscar so far. Everything from, we did a launch party for, I believe it was the Sanford, and my dad came in town, and he got to see that happen, and that was one of those things to be as a father myself, to have my father there. I can only imagine like what he felt. That to me was something that was really phenomenal. To the things where my son, who at the time was like maybe 4 years old, we were out at a street fair here in Chicago, and there was a really cute dog, and of course he wanted to go pet it. And the dog owner had a watch on. And my son is like, "Oh, I like your watch." So I've got this like 3-4 year old kid complimenting something on their watch, but even better, he then went and said, "Oh, my dad makes watches. It's called Oak and Oscar."
He's pushing your products.
It was just such a fun, like, so innocent, casual thing that it made me really proud, because one of the things that goals, I really should say, one of the reasons I wanted to start my own company was something that I could do that I would be proud of, and that my family could be proud of. And that was such a simple, everyday interaction that just, it made me smile. It was really nice.
No, that's so cute. That's adorable.
But there's also the answers of, we have a watch on the HGTV hometown television show. We've got watch on, we've got professional baseball players, football players, and that's all. It's amazing. Designers, architects. It's an amazing thing to the U.S. men's gold winning curling team. That was pretty phenomenal. We made a custom watch for their coach to celebrate that. These are all the things that really remind me that I have one of the coolest jobs in the world, that I get to interact with people who are experts in their craft, and they respect our craft. And I always take that as a compliment, that these people out there who are phenomenal at what they do appreciate what we do and come to us for their watches.
Yeah. I mean, you guys put in so much time and effort and hard work into these pieces. I'm sure it's just completely humbling to see others, wear them in different professions of all kinds. But that's really awesome. Yeah. So looking beyond, this year's, I know it's your 5-year anniversary. Looking beyond that, what is next for you guys? What path do you want to take to continue with the brand?
Great question. I think for us, it's as simple as just continuing to make awesome watches that people love. We want to continue to build our community. We want to continue to build our history. And we just want to make sure that we continue to do, to live by our pillars, which is making little plans, good people, good products, and details in the design.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so simple, but you can see that in your products for sure. So
I appreciate that. A lot of times,
right.
Simple is hard.
It can be. I mean, I think sometimes, especially in this hobby, we see it a lot. Everything's a little too complicated. And taking a step back and just keeping things simple sometimes is the right way to do it.
Yeah. And even though, I mean, to your point, even though like there's little details that if you talk about them, people would think that they're complicated. Like looking at this watch here, when you talk about the sandwich style, when you talk about the oak barrel counterweight and just all of the little pops of color and things like that, like if you don't, until you see it, it's
yeah. I mean, even for me, it's like, it's the line through the 7. I'm just like, you won me with that.
That's how I write my 7.
That's
exactly.
how I write my 7s as well. And it's also on the date wheel. It's on the date wheel. It's on the serial number.
I love it.
It's the way I write my 7. So why wouldn't I do that?
Exactly.
No,
it's all these little personal touches that I think are important to make a watch unique in its own.
For sure. Most definitely. Awesome. Well, think that wrap everything up.
Wrapping it up.
I do think we forgot one thing.
What did
what's
we
that?
forget?
Wrist check.
Oh, yeah. We did.
That makes sense.
We tend to forget when we have a guest on. We get flustered and we forget to do these normal things.
All of these
saying.
normal things. Okay, all right. Just
We got to keep you guys on point.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding us accountable.
And also, we never talked about the fact that we're all Tennessean here.
What?
Wait, you're from Tennessee?
Yep, I was born in Kingsport, Tennessee, and lived in Knoxville for
That's the orange color,
8
isn't
years. It is part of it, but not only for Tennessee. It's also I grew up, fan of the Vols, but
I love you.
Like
you're now my favorite interview we've ever done.
But my family also, a lot of them went to UVA out in Virginia, which is navy and orange as well. Mm-hmm. So I have grown up wearing grays and navies and oranges, and it's just something that is comfortable for me. So it's something that that's kind of where part of these color designs come from as well.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. Where did you go to school then?
For university?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Washington University in St. Louis.
Okay. Which
is like a green and a dark maroon red. Yeah. I don't foresee a watch in that color yet.
No. I like the gray and orange theme you've got going
definitely.
on. It works for me.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a gray fan.
Yeah. And orange, but not all orange because it's a lot.
Yes.
Tennessee orange is bright.
Oh, it is bright. This has a little darker than Tennessee orange.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk about that fact. In my mind, it's Tennessee orange.
It is Tennessee orange. And also, if you're from Texas, it's Texas orange too.
There you go.
You're very neutral in your shades of orange. It's sufficient for all college football fans in any shade of orange.
It is a great shade of orange, no matter what you want.
That's so funny. All right. Well, that's awesome. And what took you to Chicago then?
So I lived here when I was younger. I lived out in Oak Park for a little while. I've lived a lot of places my whole life, probably about 14 different cities. I ended up moving back to Chicago a couple years after I graduated from college. Took a job up here and... well, no, that's the political answer. No, I was dating a girl. She moved up to Chicago. I moved up here. Yeah, I moved up here for a girl. Long story, didn't work out. That's okay. I stayed up here and met my wife up here. And now it's been home for, maybe 15, 16 years. A while. I don't know. I keep losing track.
Do you make it back to Kingsport?
I've been back there maybe once. And it was on a soccer tournament when I lived in Knoxville. Truth be told, I've not been there too many times. I couldn't tell you what it's like or mm-hmm. I kind of have a small memory of what the house looked like just from when I went there in elementary school during the soccer tournament. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was that small town kind of world, right?
I
was riding my tricycle too fast and I hit like a crack in the cement and just split my chin open. And the doctor came to our house to give me stitches. It's a small town kind of place.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of memories of it.
That's super fun.
So wrist check.
I love this watch even more. So
yeah.
Wrist check. And since you're our guest, why don't you go first, Chase?
I am wearing, no surprise, a Navy Olmsted on bracelet.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I have the gray Olmsted in front of me, and I have it on the leather strap. I really love this leather strap.
Yeah, it's so soft.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Super soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does your leather?
So that leather is from Horween. We actually have to buy a huge amount of that leather to meet the minimum order requirement because it's a special order just for us, with a special kind of dyeing technique as well as thickness. So we take all those hides. Horween is maybe 2 miles from my office. It's great. It's pretty easy to get in there, and we know the guys there. They're a great company to work with. And then we take that and we send those hides down to our strap maker who's in northern Indiana. His name is Dustin. He's actually on our website too. we're very proud to work with the folks that we work with. And I think unlike a lot of other brands, we actually tell everyone who we work with for our products, because it's important to celebrate the craftsmen behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not making the straps, nor is almost anyone else who is making watches. I want to celebrate the people who are trained craftsmen who've been working with leather for years and years and years. And we do that because it's something that we're proud of having these great relationships with people who make really phenomenal products, and we're happy to use them for our watches too.
Yeah, we were both really surprised, and we're kind of picky about our straps, so
just slightly,
and we're both like oogling over it for a while.
The thickness is what really surprised me about this, and then just how soft it is. It's amazing.
Well, since you stole the watch today, I had to wear one of my own, which I don't get to wear one of my own very often anymore. I feel like we get all the watches in, which is not a bad problem to have. But no, I'm wearing the Rolex Explorer 2 today, the Polar dial 1657.
So hey, did you end up getting that polished?
Not yet. I can't decide. I am so on edge about it.
There's
one day I'm like, I'm going to do it. And then another day I'm like, nope, not going to do it.
My opinion, and it really doesn't matter when it comes to it, because it really depends on whatever you want to do. But I'd say keep it as is, personally.
Yeah. That's more so where I lean.
I keep it as is. And then when it just gets terrible, then there's no point in sending it out.
I beat it to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a friend who I think similar to your original thought process was, this is my watch. I'm never selling it. I want to put all the marks on it myself. I do understand that point too. But for me, considering that watch one day will go to somebody else, whether you like it or not, all of the scratches on there are part of its history.
Yeah. I'm a big history buff too. Like I do like that aspect of it. I don't want to wipe it away.
Y'all took this way too seriously. I was just scratch it up and send it out and get it polished here in a couple of years. I am not the history of the scratches person. I will refinish whatever I want to. Not as often as I'd like to, but yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that logic either.
No.
I mean,
that's what's great about watches, is you wear them how you want. And I love that. They have stories, and it's your story. It's what you want out of it. And man, that's what makes them so great.
Yeah. And I love that there are no rules to watches anymore. It used to be such a strict, you only wore this a certain way, and you could only wear this with this sort of outfit. And now it's like a free for all, and it's amazing.
All right. Well, as we head out here, Chase, do you want to tell people where they can find you and email you and message you?
Sure. Yeah. You can certainly find us on our website, which is www.oakandoscar.com. Through that, you can email us. You can set up appointments to hopefully in the future come see us in person. But right now, to do video chats to kind of learn more about our watches and everything about Oak and Oscar, as well as on Instagram. We Oak and Oscar. It's our Instagram, and we're always out there trying to have a real genuine conversation with folks, and it's something that really helps make our day great.
Very cool.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, we're very excited. Like we're looking at plane tickets constantly, because our goal obviously is to go in July to the wind up in Chicago, crossing our fingers that still happens. But no, we can't wait to come out there and meet you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something for that. Or at another time. I think we talked about doing something together with you guys and Oak and Oscar. I think that'd be a blast. You said that the majority of your listeners, or not majority, but the greatest percentage is from Chicago?
In the US,
yeah.
That's
Chicago
crazy.
is our biggest
Shout
listening.
Why
out
do you
Chicago.
think that is?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know.
Because Chicago's awesome, or
probably so.
I'm not gonna say Chicago is any more or less awesome than Nashville, but
people can be awesome together.
Okay.
Yeah,
there can be more than one awesome city.
It's Chicago and Nashville, and that's it. That's the awesome cities. The end.
All our San Francisco people are going to be real upset at you right now.
Right, and San Fran.
We'll tell OT to calm down.
Yeah.
OT has already texted and he said to say hi, by the way. Like, but yeah, no, I think, doing something together sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right, Chicago listeners, you heard it first.
Now we're committed to it.
We're committed. Get those plane tickets booked later, not right now, but later.
Right, not right now. To be clear.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that like $45 ticket.
Right, where are all of these like $8 tickets that everybody keeps talking about online? Man. All right. Well, it has been a whole lot of fun, and we definitely look forward to meeting you in person later on this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, it's been a blast.
Awesome.
Good luck. Right. Enjoy the weekend.
And you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Wash your hands. All of that
Just
stuff.
be smart and considerate and all of that stuff, because we're all normal stuff together. You know.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. And make sure you head over to our website, www.10and2.com, for all of the show notes. We'll have all of the links to everything, to Chase's website, the Oak and Oscar website, and all as well. And make sure that you're following us on Instagram and Facebook at 10 and 2 Media. And then we'll also have this podcast on our YouTube channel, 10 and 2. And that is all, right?
That's it.
Okay. That was good.
You did a good job on that one.
Man, 5 stars to me. All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Bye, Chase.
See you. Bye.